Yo, what's going down, everybody? It is Straight Out of Boston here, and today I'm back for episode 1 of a brand new series on my channel. I'm firing up a Madden 19 franchise for the first time in this year's game, and I'm posting Madden for the first time since last year when I abandoned my Madden series about 4 or 5 episodes in. But this year we're starting off anew, and we're going with the Dallas Cowboys. So we are picking a team that is a little bit of a middling team, a team that could contend for a playoff spot in 2018, but also a team that is looking to build up the defense, build up the skill position players before it really takes itself seriously as a title contender. So that was kind of the goal of the team that I had in mind. The Cowboys appealed to me for those reasons, and for the fact that quarterback's not really in place for the future, so that's a position that I could have a say over. The skill position players, like I said, the defense, something that can be built up, and also it's a big market team. It's the most popular team in America. It's a team that, it's whenever they play their division opponents, it seems like a rivalry game. The NFC East, those games always matter. So it kind of, entertaining for a number of reasons. Looking for the next quarterback of the Cowboys. Is it going to be Dak Prescott? Is it going to be someone else? As we're taking a look at the depth chart here. But one thing we do have in place seems to be is some of the offensive line. We've got, of course, Zach Barton and Tyron Smith occupying 2 of those spots. We have Lyle Collins, the undrafted guard/tackle out of LSU, who people have always been high on. Wouldn't have gone undrafted if it weren't for some off-the-field issues. And then Connor Williams, who was a guard picked out of Texas this year, I think in the first round. I assume he was a first-rounder because I know he was projected to be a first-rounder. And so we've got some young offensive linemen. We also have Travis Frederick, but I'm going to be honoring that Frederick is out for the year with the autoimmune disease that he was diagnosed with. He might not even ever play football again, but he's on injured reserve. He wasn't in the pre-existing injuries, so I'm just going to treat it as if he's out for the year and then maybe bring him back next year, depending on what some of the tea leaves. I'm going to try and read up on his story a little bit, see what people think if he could play again. I'm going to try and treat that situation as realistically as possible, basically. But anyway, so what's going to be different about this franchise series versus previous franchise series, and I think other franchise series on YouTube that other YouTubers do, is I'm going to really focus this series on the micromanaging of the 53-man roster and the team building aspect more than the gameplay side of it, because that's really what interests me about Madden and the Madden franchise in general. Is not like the gameplay itself. I mean, the Madden gameplay is, it's different than what has been in previous years, but at the same time, it's not that different. It is still, Madden, still 11 guys on each side, all that stuff. So, anyway, we're making a few free agent signings here in week 1. I signed Jarkander West to be our 3rd running back because we only had 2 running backs between Ezekiel Elliott and Ron Smith. And then I signed a couple wide receivers, Brashad Perryman and Malcolm Mitchell. I also signed Devin Kajus, the star of Hard Knocks, not because he was on Hard Knocks, but because he does have 92 speed as a tight end. And I also signed Aaron Lynch, who was available. He got cut by the Bears in this franchise. I'm not really sure why, but he immediately became our best left outside linebacker, even though he typically plays on the right side. We also signed Eddie Pleasant to be kind of our 3rd or 4th safety, some safety depth there. He can do, he can play zone, man, and tackle, which are kind of the 3 ratings I really look for in combination with speed out of a safety. So I cut a couple wide receivers. I ended up cutting Brashad Perryman because I actually liked Deontay Thompson and Michael Gallup over him, which I wasn't really expecting to. I kept Malcolm Mitchell. I also kept Kajus. I cut Rico Gathers and I think a guy who was like a 37 overall, probably a special teams player. I cut one of my quarterbacks because I only need 2 quarterbacks. I think I put Cooper Rush on the practice squad. And I'm messing around with the depth chart here a little bit. You can see I'm going to be starting Jeff Swaim as my number 1 tight end, mainly because he has the highest run block, and I'm going to be primarily a run-first team with Ezekiel Elliott. And you can see here Travis Frederick, I'm putting him as the 3rd string center for the full year, so he's not going to be playing. I've got the 2 younger centers starting over him. On the defensive line, I've got Randy Gregory and Taco Charlton rotating on the left side. I'm going to be having DeMarcus Lawrence starting on the right side with Tyrone Crawford and David Irving in the middle. You can see I'm putting Eddie Pleasant as the backup safety. At linebacker, I've got Aaron Lynch starting on one side, Sean Lee starting on the other, with Jalen Smith in the middle, and potentially some Leighton Vander Esch as well, the draft pick out of Boise State for the Cowboys this year. You can see at cornerback, at slot corner, we've got Jordan Lewis as the starting slot corner over Anthony Brown, with Awubi, I think, or I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but I think it's Awubi or Azubi, and Byron Jones on the outside. And yeah, the defense is definitely, I mean, if you look at a guy like Sean Lee, who's going to be retiring within the next couple of years, I think he's already 32, 33 years old. So, he's not going to be the centerpiece of the defense for very much longer. and I'm going to have to replace him, build a new defense, maybe around some defensive backs or around DeMarcus Lawrence perhaps. Here I'm doing the training, so the training is a big part of what I do in franchise. I basically pick two that I'm going to use throughout the year and then get them gold the first week of the preseason and then just simulate with them the rest of the year. So the offensive training that I had going gives training boosts to the quarterback group and the offensive line group. Quarterback, so we can get Prescott's XP up, and we have a ton of offensive linemen who we're trying to develop, including Connor Williams and Lyle Collins. And then on defense, I went with a training session that boosts the defensive line and the defensive backs. And that's because really the only linebackers I had that I wanted to develop were Vander Esch and Jalen Smith. So then I just individually gave them the training boosts to try and even that out, sort of. I could switch it around a little bit on defense, but anyway, the training is a big part of what I do. I'm trying to develop the guys that I have. My coach has the player XP boost right off the bat. That was the prototype that he was. So getting into the gameplay here, you can see I'm doing a little pre-snap breakdown. Carolina's showing a blitz with single high safety, so I know I'm going to be looking for a quick route. If they send the blitz, they do just that, so I'm going to hit my man over the middle, Terrence Williams, on 2nd and 4. He picks up the first down. So I have a few of those kind of plays where I'm sort of breaking it down pre-snap, what I'm thinking, how I'm trying to sort of win the play before the ball is even snapped, which is a lot of what quarterbacking is in the NFL in 2018, and you can do that in Madden too by trying to read what the defense is going to do. So I show that off a little bit in this episode. Let me know what you guys think of. I think I have 3 or 4 more kind of freeze frames that I break down. So just let me know what you guys think of those throughout the episode. If that's something you want to see more of, less of, or more of the same, whatever. But anyway, so for the gameplay for this series, I'm going to be doing exactly what I'm doing in this episode, which is playing a game where I'm just playing the moments. An alternative to this could be just playing fourth quarters of games, simulating the first 3 quarters. But if you're unfamiliar with the moments, basically it just brings you in on important third downs, both on offense and defense, and then important red zone situations on offense and defense. And maybe big field goal kicks or occasional other stuff, but for the most part it's third downs and trips to the red zone, which I kind of like. It gives you enough to impact a game a little bit, not a lot. So it's the idea of, and this is something I've always defaulted to in my franchises, but trying to make it so that you actually have to build a team that the game thinks is good, not just a team that you're good with, that you play well with, or that you can cheese the CPU with, any of that stuff. Like the simulation engine that takes place while, like right here, while the game is simulating, while I'm waiting to be brought back in, like the team has to be good in the eyes of that engine as well, not just me. And I think that makes the team building a little bit more realistic and a little bit more difficult, I guess, which I like. Here, look at this. I'm going for a 62-yard field goal with my new kicker, Brett Maher. He does have 95 kick power, and he nails it. A 62-yarder, putting us up 13-0, and that's just before halftime. So Carolina getting on the board there with the field goal, and then we would get the ball back with under the 2-minute warning, trying to go in a little 2-minute drill. So I hit Jeff Swaim there for the first down, and then here I have a little comeback route on the right side, and I make a terrible decision to try and fit that one in there. Denora seriously undercuts it, I should say, and gets the easy pick. And that's actually going to lead to 3 more points for Carolina before the half. So the problem with playing the moments in this game is sometimes like it's sort of weird and won't bring you in on like third downs you think you should have been in on, and it's kind of a little tricky sometimes. So I don't know if it's the perfect solution, but I do want to do something like this. Like I said, the alternate could be simulating the first 3 quarters of a game and then coming in the fourth quarter. But even then, I think you still have like a lot of say over the game. You can easily pull off like a 2-touchdown comeback in that time frame. So I don't really know what the solution is. Here you see I'm going for it on 4th down. I see Carolina's in their base defense, so I know I'm going to be able to beat some guys over the middle of the field with speed, and I'm doing just that with Cole Beasley. He outruns not only his defender, but also Luke Kuechly, who is playing zone over the middle right there. And he gets open and gets the first down, continues our drive. Unfortunately, we wouldn't even get a chance to get back in there before it's 4th and 13, so we're settling for a 41-yard field goal from Brett Maher. This puts us back up by a touchdown, 16-9. So now, as we get into the fourth quarter, Carolina only trailing by a touchdown. We've got a 3rd down opportunity on offense here, trying to get back into scoring position and make this a 2-score game. Here I'm hitting Terrence Williams, and Williams getting the first down and a little bit more, pickup of 23. Now 2nd and 6 later in the drive. I'm missing Michael Gallup right there. Prescott with an inaccurate throw. He had Gallup for an easy touchdown. Instead, it's 3rd and 6, and on 3rd and 6, Prescott floating one over the middle, and it's picked off by Mike Adams. Another terrible decision by me right there to try and fit that one. Now that one that was one where, you know, I only tapped the button because I sort of knew immediately when I touched it was a terrible choice. So Carolina drove down the field with like 3 big pass plays and tied it up at 16. So like that's the thing about playing the moments. Like for some reason I didn't even get to see Carolina score right there. Kind of silly. Especially for the video, but now it's 16-all, so it's 4th down from the 39. I'm going for it. This is a risky decision, but I saw that Carolina was in their goal line defense, so I'm looking for a pass play, and it is Allen Hurns getting open on the slant. That gets me into field goal range. Now I can start running the ball and running the clock with Ezekiel Elliott, which is what I'm doing right there. 2nd and 8. You can see the play clock at 1 when I snapped the ball that time. I've got a man in motion. It's Kajus getting open here as Carolina sent the blitz. I think they only dropped 3 or 4 into coverage there, and Kajus was wide open. Now 1st and 10 at the 2-minute warning. Ezekiel Elliott picking up a quick 3 right there to set up 2nd and 7. Now 2 plays later, 3rd and 5. 2 timeouts left for Carolina, 1:15 on the clock. I'm doing the handoff to Terrence Williams on the reverse, but Williams getting stopped short. He only picked up 2 yards, so 4th down coming up. Maher out for his 4th field goal attempt of the day. He's made the first 3, and he makes the biggest one yet, putting the Cowboys up by 3, 19-16 with 1:07 to play. So Cam Newton and the Panthers getting the ball back here. 1 timeout, looking to drive down the field. He hits Greg Olsen right there at about the 45-yard line. The clock keeps ticking. They do call, actually they didn't call timeout right there. They spiked the ball. So it's 2nd and 10. Greg Olsen making another grab. They're going no huddle on 3rd and 4. And Newton getting to the line, empty set out of the shotgun, 30 seconds to play. He hits his man, DJ Moore, in the flat, and Moore's making some moves, getting into field goal range at the 38-yard line. So this turned out to be the most important play of the game. I'm in cover 2 man, but I see that Funchess isn't going deep. He's the lone threat on the left side of the field. So I'm using Xavier Woods to cover the middle of the field. I cut off one of their, probably the guy Newton would have gone to there for 10 or 15 yards over the middle. Instead, he dumps it off to Olsen, who stays in bounds. They have to take their last time out. So 10 seconds left. It's 3rd and 12. The ball's back at the 40 because Olsen lost 2 yards on that play. That goes incomplete. 4th down. They have to send the field goal unit out. This is a 57-yarder, and Graham Gano's kick is up, and it is short. So the Dallas Cowboys are going to walk away here with the win. And without that play on 2nd down there where they lost 2 yards and had to call their last time out on the dump off to Greg Olsen, I'm not, you know, even if that ball was still at the 38, maybe Gano has just enough to make that kick. Instead, they lost 2 yards. So that little play in man defense for me was probably the biggest play of the game. Ultimately decided it, and Cam Newton walking off the field unhappy as his Panthers start out the season 0-1. Dallas goes into Carolina, a big Week 1 win. Not a great performance out of really anyone individually. Both Elliott and Prescott didn't play that well, but the defense, I would have to give props to, holding Carolina to 16 points. Good job by them. So that is going to do it. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Again, give me feedback on like everything from the format of this video, some of the things I did with the, you know, pre-snap, breakdowns and stuff like that. Just let me know. I want to hear feedback on everything, and let me know if you guys are excited for this series, because I know I am. I love playing the Madden franchise, and I'm just hoping to have a good franchise series this year. So that's gonna do it. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I'm out.